My name is Lydia Dubois. I'm from New York, New York. I go to Hopkins University, and I'm graduating in 2018. I took a class this year on inequality in education, and one of the main things we spoke about was the summer learning gap. So if you're going to go that way, that's a major thing, right? So in areas like this, when there's very little option of what to do for the summer, the fact that we are engaging in active learning and community building throughout the summer, I think is like essential. First thing. The second thing is that we're working with groups of kids who know each other, but we're sort of fostering communities within communities for those kids to then get to go back to school and say, hey, I had this really special connection with these other kids in my grade. Like, how can I continue that? And how can I use the restorative practices I've learned and the educational practices I've learned to make this school year the most successful yet? The community we have here at the Rosedale Freedom Project built on the LEAD principles and built on the idea that students should become leaders and not just followers of adults' directions is, I think, like an essential part of the impact that this internship has. We're creating people who lead, and we're creating people who are conscious of the injustices they face, and they're not looking for someone else to solve those issues, but instead they're equipped with the tools needed to solve those issues themselves. I think part of it is teaching students that like they are their most powerful change agents, and so as adults we can model the behavior that shows what it means to have a cohesive community and shows what it means to follow rules and to have structure, and then we allow students to absorb that as well, and they become necessary culture builders. So we not only are we relying on the adults and the interns, but we're relying on the students to continue to build that culture and then to welcome new students in. You're learning how to lead by stepping back and focusing on saying, like, this is my vision, this is what I want to happen. How can I like impart it on a bunch of people without just standing up in front of them and talking, I think is a huge thing. And so those leadership skills that you build and you learn to build in other people, I think are huge. And one of the biggest things that I think allows this organization to function so well, and I think allows interns to walk away saying, I really learned something, is the trust. So you're trusting in those around you to like carry out whatever larger vision there is. I think students who are ready to rise to the challenge, the RFP teaches students that they could do anything. I think that hands down is the impact that the RFP has. The summer starts out and students see the teacher advisors and the staff leading things, and by the end of the summer students are taught and students have shown themselves that they can lead those same things. So the fact that every single circle up, every single time we came together as a circle, a student led it on our last 2 weeks of the RFP, and by the time it was the last week, we barely had to ask anything of the students. They knew exactly what they wanted out of that circle up. They knew how to call on students who weren't participating. They knew how to get their peers together, and they know that not because they want to follow the rules, but because they believe in the meaning of a circle up. They believe that the group should come together and have conversation. On our camping trip, every single task was delegated to students, and staff were assigned to monitor the fact that the students were carrying through that task. I think like shows an immense trust in our students to take things through, and we're not just the people who are holding their hands saying this is what you need to accomplish, but we're saying you're capable of accomplishing this and you will. I think that's the impact it has. It teaches students that anything that they want to see happen, they can do, and they can do that by looking at people who are allied with them, who are allied with their same mission, and looking at that modeling behavior and then absorbing that behavior and modeling for their fellow peers. Just the fact that like no location determines how like the brilliance of a mind or like how passionate a kid can be about their own education and their world.